Greetings everyone, my name is Zephydel, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Maker. During the last part, I covered 5 viewer-submitted levels. So in this part, as promised, I'll be covering the 6th viewer-submitted level that I wasn't able to cover in the previous part due to time constraints, and then cover a bunch of levels in the popular queue. As usual, if you want one of your levels to be submitted to be featured in a future part, please leave the name or ID of the level in a comment below or direct message me on Twitter. And also as usual, the link to my full disclaimer is in the description as well. So here's the first level, or what was supposed to be the first level, but the server errored out for some reason. It seems to randomly happen. Oh, and by the way, I upgraded to version 1.0.5.3. They seem to be increasing the rate of updates now, so that is quite appreciated. So here it is, Kaizo Level Hard, version 2. There is a version 1, but I'll pick version 2. 12 plays and a score is 0, and this is also by Mega Man 2407. This, from what I've heard, is a harder version of the original Kaizo level I did, Kaizo Level Normal. So we have the same startup as before, and we have to fight Cutman now. As usual, I'm going to try facing Cutman the normal way, and then I'll do it the intended route. As you can see right here, I can just stun-lock Cutman very easily. If I put Cutman against the wall like this, he'll just kill himself. So this is the easy way of completing Kaizo Level Hard, but of course, I'll be going through the full stage following this, and if you really need it, you can pick up the M-Tank over there. But I don't think I'll need it. I think I'll enjoy this stage, so I will give it a thumbs up right now. Alright, it's time to take the second route of this stage, where instead of defeating Cutman, we go to the end on the right. So I'm going to use Charge Kick in order to get across these spikes. Now, the designer did mention in the previous part that you can complete the stage just using a Mega Buster. And they did also mention that if I'm having a lot of difficulty with the stage, I can use the Charge Kick in order to make it a bit easier. So that's appreciated. Which I will be using so I can get to the nearest checkpoint. Here's an optional place where I can get an E-Tank if I really need be. Gotta be a bit careful here so I don't get killed by all the force beams. But at least they're green ones. A little bit of tap jumps over there and we can make it to the checkpoint. I'm just gonna restart the nearest checkpoint so I have full health, and that also means that I don't need to worry about Cutman anymore. Let me get up over there. From what I've seen so far, the same level layout is present as the medium difficulty, just with tougher enemy placement, more enemies, and more instant death, essentially. I really wish the NATO actually protected you against projectiles, otherwise it results in situations like this, where you keep taking damage from everything. Let's get up over here, there should be a checkpoint right over there, and get killed by the sudden enemy spam. Let me see what's on the left side of the screen there. I'm just gonna damage boost off of here, and slide into the M and E, and just take a death so I can figure out what's up there. I think the Star Crash would be the best approach to make that jump. There we go, that's how we made it up there. Ah, I wonder what's in that teleporter. Oh. We can't make our way back there, so it's just a Kaizo trap. Must be a secret that you can access from another way. I suppose if you entered it from the other way, you would be trapped and be forced to replay the stage. Or replay half the stage. Also, if you're wondering why the E and M tanks are a bit higher, I had to reset halfway through the stage due to a slight issue, and it seems to maintain the E and M tank values. At least it'll make the stage a little bit easier. Specifically, I had to reset around here, after collecting the previous E-Tank and the M-Tank. Let me take this route, see where it leads up to. I should have held right over there. Well, another Kaizo trap, but it's in the name, so I should have expected that. Damage boost, jump into here, still not make the jump. This is now time for my next spiel. In every part, this engine's hitboxes are too big. Or there should be the ability to adjust their size. I know, I'm repeatedly complaining about it in this part, but this is the main thing of this engine that really kills it for me and doesn't make it as fun as it would usually be. Or wouldn't be as fun as otherwise. Oh, now I'm dead, I'm dead. Why, I'm not dead. Oh, now I'm dead. I didn't realize that if you're in mid-charge kick and continuously sliding over there, you won't instantly die. That's good to know. But as I was saying, that's the main thing that really brings down the engine for me. The fact that the spike hitboxes at least feel too big in comparison to other Mega Man fan games. At least that's the feeling I get. It may not be true, but the feeling supersedes what the objective may be, so I'm going to continuously complain about it in each part at least once. There we go, we made it across, and there's the checkpoint. And I'm going to reset at this checkpoint so I get full health. Because I know from the previous stage's architecture, there is a spike drop over there. And I was right. Didn't quite make the jump there. At least there's an ample checkpoint placement both in the medium level difficulty of Kaizo and the hard level, so I really thank Mega Man 2407 for adding these checkpoints. It really makes the stages feel a lot less mean. Wow, I was a bit too much to the right over there. And it isn't too precise like many other Kaizo levels are. Remember that slide though, as well as that tower ascent? Oh, they were horrible in terms of precision. I never was able to complete them without using the editor. Didn't quite make it either. Oh, I got it there in the first try. I thought I was gonna get killed by the spikes over there due to the hitbox, but no, I survived. Especially because there's not even a damage boost off of, so that was Kaizo Level Hard version 2. Let's give it a thumbs up. I liked it. It's basically a harder version of Kaizo Level Medium. And essentially the challenge is... There's the same basic level challenge like before, but the main difference is that there's more difficult enemy and a checkpoint and gimmick placement, essentially. But I liked it. It's more of a challenge level. Well, it's more of a Kaizo level than the medium level difficulty version of this level. Still, I liked it. Whoops, I didn't mean to do new level. Let me go back out of this one. Let me check and see if there's any secrets. Because I know there was that one-off point that seemed a little bit suspicious, so let's take a look at it. So this is the point where it links up to. Let's see where it goes to. Here's the end of the stage. Ah, okay. If I went all the way to the right over here, just like in the original Kaizo Medium, I would get telefragged. However, if I keep going right, it takes me over here. How do we get across here? As a demonstration, if I were to somehow get out of the teleporter, I'll be able to access here. And then I could use all my abilities, like the Metal Blade, Charge Kick, Star Crash, and the Shine, in order to complete the stage. And you need to have weapon energy left of every single special weapon, it seems, in order to complete the stage. Oh, never mind, you can just use the Elect Beam to pierce to the last barrier. But this is the tertiary way in order to complete the stage. First one is, of course, defeating Cutman. Second one is getting to the end of the stage over here with the energy element. The third one is somehow getting out of this teleporter, destroying all these barriers, and then destroying this party ball. I don't know how you can get out of this one, but if you can, you get an easy exit, because you can teleport directly from the middle part of the stage. So otherwise, I enjoyed playing through this. Good work, Mega Man 2407. Now, as promised, I'll be covering at least 5 levels in the popular queue. Many parts back, I did mention that I wanted a hot queue to be added, similar to Reddit's hot page, so we can see the trending levels that were recently added, so that we don't need to dig through all the trash in the newest queue, and you don't need to see a whole bunch of the very old levels that have been very highly rated in best rating. And apparently I overlooked it. It's called the most popular sorting. So here you can see a whole bunch of levels that have been recently submitted. instead of seeing a bunch of levels that are very good but you haven't seen it for a long time, or you don't need to dig through the new queue. So I'm going to pick at least 5 of them, and they're randomly ordered as well. Like for example, No Gun No Problems was submitted on the 12th, 3 days ago from the time of this recording. And Jump Off Windstorm was submitted 1 day ago. I understand what they're saying because Windstorm was upgraded a few days ago. So let's start up with Jump Off Windstorm, why not? After this, I'm going to be picking the first 5 or 6 levels, probably the first 6 levels from the sponge, and then I'll end off this part. And this one's very highly rated for a score of 162. I really thank the developers for including a most popular sorting. Now we can play a whole bunch of good Mega Man levels that you won't necessarily find in Twitter or shared on the forums or the Reddit sharing thread, and you can easily access it and easily play the best levels that have been recently added, is what I'm saying. So one of the benefits of Windstorm, once I get it here, we're forced to use it, is that you can jump off of it. Once you hit the top, you'll bounce off of it like a rush coil, which makes it really powerful because you can use it in situations like this in order to get across. This is a new ability from what I've heard that was added since version 1.0.5 in order to make Windstorm a lot better instead of being overlooked. Not to mention it pierces through enemies repeatedly, if necessary. And the only time it dissipates actually is when it destroys an enemy, where it takes it off the screen. So as you can see here, I can also release up to 3 Windstorm tornadoes in order to make the jumps a lot easier. I think there's a secret up there. It may be just me though. So it's currently training you how to use the Windstorm in easier to harder conjunctions. And now I have to worry about getting hit by this Sniper Joe. Nothing too difficult yet, but I assume something will get more difficult soon. Like here for example, I need to time the Windstorm release just at the right time against the wall so I can actually reach the E-tank. So it is slowly getting harder. And here for example, I need to bounce off it at the correct time so I can make my way across. That addition of where you can bounce off the Windstorms, as well as it piercing through enemies until it gets destroyed or until it hits a guarded enemy, really makes the Windstorm a lot more of a viable weapon if you were to ask me. And makes it so it's a lot better to use against tougher enemies in tight corridors, that's for sure. It also increases the amount of speedrun potential it has. And makes several of these risky jumps a lot more... It gives you a lot more insurance with these tight spike jumps. So in stages with Windstorm and spike jumps where you have to worry about getting towards your targets, it's a lot more useful. Okay, here it's similar to What's the Hold Up, which was a gravity hold based gimmick stage. This one's now showing you that you shouldn't necessarily use Windstorm all the time, because if I do use it here and bounce off of it, I will get killed by hitting this against the spikes. So I gotta be careful where I shoot it. And now we have the Sparkman platforms. Okay, now the boss fight against Crashman. I was hoping for more difficult challenges where you had to worry about getting hit by enemies. Also, another nice usage of the Windstorm is that it'll keep going against the Roadmasters repeatedly until you either destroyed or they run out of time. I wish there was more challenges in this stage where, for example, you had to bounce where you'd start at the Windstorm and then bounce off of it and avoid going too high where you hit an enemy or get skewered against the spikes. Still, great work, Mishu. It was a wonderful stage, but I would like to see it taken further. Oh, and they have a whole bunch of other stages too. Also, I wish that once I press the back button from there, I would be taken back to the most popular queue. Okay, Pacifist Mega Man by AsBallaAsPossible. 131 plays and a score of 52. All of these levels are probably going to have a score over 10, so it's in general going to be much better than most of the levels I covered in the previous parts, although they still have merit. After all, there is a certain we have the plant barrier and nothing. And to be fair, the plant barrier only acts like a aggressive shield. If the only way plant barrier can be used as an aggressive shield is if you run against enemies and blow them up that way. Even then though, it's temporary. You only have a temporary usage of it, and we can't really offensively attack enemies from far. So creative. As I was saying, after a certain threshold of popularity or good rating, popular levels start to become more popular and popular due to the treadmill effect, or once you get the ball rolling, the levels will start to get better and better, or will start getting higher and higher rating, eclipsing their peers who are at similar quality levels. So it's a combination of good quality and luck which determines which levels start to get really high ratings. After all, the really high rated stages in this game, well, they'll continuously get higher and higher rating because they're at the top level. The only way I can get across is running against... I need to run away from Napalm Man. I can't destroy him in any way. At least I have a whole bunch of I have a whole bunch of these weapon capsules that I can pick up in order to run away. I thought this stage was going to be a lot harder, personally speaking, with the fact that I had to run away without... I thought this stage was going to be a lot harder, where we had to run away from all these enemies with just the Mega Buster, or with just the plant barrier, and the plant barrier wouldn't be that useful. But nope, the plant barrier is really useful here, in fact. Because most of the enemies are projectile based, and I can pretty much deflect all their projectiles. The only danger really is Napalm Man himself because of his ridiculously long jump pattern. But I shouldn't get too cocky though. The stage is gradually getting more difficult. Let me use the M-Tank right now, because I really need the plant barrier up. Neat stage idea, I really like it. It's kind of a rush forward stage where, well, it's not a pure pacifist stage if you were to ask me. A pure pacifist stage would just give me the Mega Buster, or did give us nothing. But here, at least they give us the plant barrier in order to absorb most of these projectile enemies. But still, you shouldn't overuse it like here, because otherwise you'll get stuck. Or you can potentially get stuck. So it's a balance between balancing your health and special weapon energy. Not to mention Napalm Man's jumps are ridiculously long. And thankfully there's not that much instant death either. Well, that was hilarious. Now imagine if Napalm Man could actually make that jump above. That would be kind of a jerk move. But that was certainly a very fun keep running to the right stage, where you had to balance using your plant barrier in order to regenerate your health and deflect all the enemy projectiles, or absorb your enemy projectiles, and just resorting to using nothing so you don't waste it and get caught in a situation where you're stuck. So great job, AsBallaAsPossible. But if there's one thing I would like to see a harder version of this stage where you have nothing. Alright, third one is Mega Spider-Man. 95 plays and a score of 45 by Zephydel. I'm seeing a bunch of unique and interesting stages here. The first two, of course, were more gimmick stages. The first one was on the Windstorm. The second one was, well, on Pacifism. And using the plant barrier. This one's also in the Windstorm, it seems, because we need to scale up this... building. Oh. Neat, this actually shows another characteristic of the Windstorm. If you're close enough to a wall when the Windstorm bounces off, it'll act like an instant rush coil, so you can easily just scale walls that way. So it acts like a makeshift wheel cutter from Mega Man 10. Also, it seems that the Windstorm can actually absorb some projectiles. That's neat. As you can see here, because it absorbed the Colton bullets. But you need to position yourself just at the right way, and jump at the right time so you can constantly get yourself pushed upwards. So there is some challenge there. Thankfully there's no instant death spikes yet. Just a bunch of Coltons and scaling up buildings. It's certainly a unique stage, but I haven't seen anything more yet. That'll change soon enough, I suppose. Okay, now we have Sniper Joe's, so there's that change. And we can get up these buildings pretty fast. I guess these lines of coltons are to show how powerful the windstorm is because it can pierce through enemies and block their shots. And of course, if we really wanted to do this faster, we can always just avoid fighting these Sniper Joes by just carefully positioning our windstorm. I guess I understand why they call this the Spider-Man stage. And now we have footholders. Hope this isn't a bad sign or something. Oh, and now we have a fight against Bomb Man. Didn't expect to fight Bomb Man here. In fact, I expected the stage to go further, but apparently that's the end of the stage. Quite a fun stage overall if you were to ask me, but I would like to see more meat, where there were like spikes on the side of the building where you needed to dodge by carefully firing off your windstorm, but this was a fine stage. I just would like to see it taken further. I expect there to be a whole bunch of popular windstorm levels, especially following the change that was instituted in version 1.0.5. Windy Storms, Easy Kaizo Practice, 201 plays and a score of 89s by SweetDude. Oh boy, I guess this is going to answer my question from earlier. I'm kind of worried how difficult this Kaizo level is going to be. And of course, the third windstorm stage, I'm sensing a pattern of what this part is going to be called. Oh, I see there. This is showing you have to bounce at the correct time, otherwise you're sent to the beginning of the stage. I feel like this is a direct extension of the Mega Spider-Man from the previous part. Good thing for putting a checkpoint there, and there's the spikes as expected. You can get through the spikes though if you time your jumps properly. I expect there to be a spike trap somewhere. Like there. Oh, okay, so this is teaching me that I need to time my jumps properly with the windstorm so I can get across the spike. And of course, if I don't, well, I won't make the jump across. I both need to clear the spike, and I need to clear the other teleporter. There we go. Oh, I see what they want me to do here. Oh no. I need to be at the correct distance from the wall so I can ascend all of these. I did it in my first try somehow, but I see what makes it so difficult. I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do a challenge, but okay. And that's the end of this stage. I expect it to be crushed right now. Never mind, we just jump off. Well, this was certainly an easy Kaizo level. Well, not even an easy Kaizo level. This felt like a traditional level showcasing how far the windstorm can be taken. It's like a direct extension of the previous two windstorm stages. Well, we covered already 4 more popular stages, so let's try something different by doing Shovel Knight Plains. I'll do this, then the Mega Man X intro stage, then I'll be done. Whoops, I forgot to read who made it the stage. If there's another suggestion I would like about this, it's the fact that, at least in the main menu, there would be a tab that you can access that showcases the name of the level, the creator, the ID, the number of plays, etc. Similar to what Mega Man 2 does with his judging comments. Well, so this is Shovel Knight Plains, so I suppose this will have the same... Well, it does have the same level geometry of the original Shovel Knight Plains stage, the intro stage specifically. Just with some different graphics. And of course, we only start with the Mega Buster because Shovel Knight only starts up with his shovel, of course. some falling platforms over here. In the original game, we'd have to dig through over here. Did the falling platforms just delete that prop top? I think they just did. Also, it's the same moving platform, just from like Shovel Knight. It reminds me of the Battle Kid Stage 1 or Area 1 recreation that I played a few parts back. And here's a replacement for the dragon, I suppose. Would have preferred the Mecha Dragon if it was actually added. More dirt blocks. An E-Tank. I don't remember what it's supposed to replicate, but I do appreciate it. I do like how they use the Dustman platforms as well as the falling platforms in order to replicate the dirt blocks from Shovel Knight. And of course, here's the secret you can get for going left. I don't think you're supposed to clip through the blocks like that. Ah, tight jump, I didn't make it. Oh well, I don't really need the E-Tank. And the checkpoint placement is roughly the same as well. But of course, after dying, we don't lose any of our gems. We don't have bolts in this game after all. But still, like I said, I find it very creative that they use the Dustman platforms and falling platforms as replacements for the dirt blocks. And most of the level design, from what I remember from Shovel Knight, is very faithful, or as faithful as can be. And also fitting that we have Nightman's team, because Nightman, Shovel Knight. And I also thank the creator for giving me access to the Mega Man 5 or 6 charge shot, so we don't need to wait and have to button mash in order to get through all those dirt platforms or junk blocks. Once again, I think that the falling platforms seem to eat through that enemy. A lot of E-Tanks here. I don't think we need it for the boss fight because it'll just make it a lot easier. Too bad you can't hide goodies behind these dust platforms. That would make it a lot more accurate to Shovel Knight, if you were to ask me. On the right there's another secret we can access. So let's see what E-Tank we can get. With the falling and rising platforms. I believe this is where we get the first relic in Shovel Knight. It's been a while since I last played Shovel Knight. Really, I have nothing more to say about this stage other than the fact that it feels like a nice recreation. Though I would like to see it taken further with custom graphics, but that doesn't exist in this engine. Oh well, I suppose we could see a remix of Shovel Knight's first stage in the Mega Man engine or something. Here's the second mini-boss fight against the dragon, or rather Ben K. Like I said, I really hope in a future update or near update we'll actually get some mini-bosses added. The second secret is on the left, of course. More gems, or in this case an E-tank. And right after this point should be the boss fight against, well, the Dark Knight, but instead we fight Fairman. And that's the end of the remake of Shovel Knight Plain Stage. Pretty nice. It feels like a faithful recreation, though I would like if there were more enemy types. But the checkpoint placement and the nice replacement of the dirt blocks with the combination of the Dustman blocks, as well as the falling platforms, makes for a nice remix, or remake. So good job, TheUncleAndre. Time for the last level of this part, Mega Man X Intro Stage. 62 plays and a score of 18 by CJTheKid. Okay, so the second remake stage. Unfortunately, we don't have custom music. From what I've heard, you can potentially add custom music by just replacing the NSF files. When I first started using the engine, I hoped they went with MP3s, so you can replace the songs with almost any game track, but apparently not. Thank you for giving me the rush coil, because unlike Mega Man X, Mega Man doesn't have the ability to wall jump. So we have those rovers as replacement for all those wheels. We have the flame tellies as replacement for those jammingers, well, not the jammingers, those crusher enemies. Oh, and I remember this one. You would have to... that's a bit too risky. I'm not taking it. Well, I can potentially take it with the charge kick, but I don't want to take that risk, sorry. I don't know if this is the best soundtrack for the stage, personally speaking. Well, I understand why they use metal bands still, but I would like a little bit more upbeat track, more rockin' track. Okay, here's the mini-boss fight replacement against the Giant Bee, or Giant Hornet. It would crash down the floor though, forcing us to use the wall kick. We would have to fight the Giant Bee at least once more, then go to a segment where you have to worry about destroying all of those car enemies before we fight Vile, but instead we fight Napalm Man right now, who's weak against the charge kick, of course. And I suppose this background was used to replicate the city background, or city highway in the background. Overall, pretty nice stage, although I like the Shovel Knight Plains a lot more, because I feel like the translation of the Shovel Knight Plains into this engine was a lot better than the translation of this one. Because the enemies in Mega Man X feel a lot more complex compared to this one. Plus the fact that we're missing the wall kick really means that it decreases the complexity of the stage. Well, I guess this is the end of this part. I covered at least 7 levels. The first level was, of course, a viewer-submitted level by Mega Man 2407. And the other 6 were all from the most popular queue. And from the looks of it, all these levels were at least decent, but like I said before, once a level gets a ball rolling with enough upvotes, like at least 10 or 15, they'll continuously get better and better upvotes and launch above their peers, even if their peers are around the same quality level. So there is that to be warned about. So overall, I will come back to use the most popular queue and again every other week, or at least every week, to see what new is in store. After all, using this I'll be able to wade through or skip through all the craft and low quality levels in the new queue without having to worry about the levels being too old, like what's in the best rating queue. And overall, my favorite stage out of the bunch would probably be either the Kaizo Level Hard by Mega Man 2407, and Pacifist Mega Man by AsBallaAsPossible. First one, of course, because it was a nice challenge level with fair checkpoint placement. The second one because, sure, it's a pacifist stage, but in addition to that, it forces you to keep running right to avoid getting hit by Napalm Man's, or getting killed by Napalm Man's, all of his projectiles, and all of his minions. But in addition to that, it gave us the ability to use the plant barrier so it could absorb most of the projectile-based enemies. But we still needed to be careful not to overuse it so we wouldn't run out in a bad situation. Plus, the stage's level design wasn't too of a jerkish, it was mostly enemy-based or enemy spam challenges. That's why I liked it. So in the next part, I'll be covering 5 or 6 levels that I found on Twitter. Well then, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Toodles!